Hello, George.
Hello,
Lovely to talk to you, our snack hacker.
and you too.
You're getting ready for the Big Feastival.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's my second time there. I was there last year, and yeah, this year I'm doing a cookery demo and I'm doing a stand-up set, both on the same day. So that'll be fun.
That's fantastic. It's a great mix, the comedy and food angle. And can you tell us a bit about your shows going around the country? What people can expect if they haven't seen you before?
So I do in my kind of theatre show. I cook on stage, live, real cooking as well, not some sort of clowny gesture towards it, chucking flour about. It's like real, proper, decent stuff. But the twist is I don't have any conventional kitchen equipment, so I cook with power tools and things like a laptop that I've converted for cooking on. I've got a sort of flamethrower thing, all sorts of stuff. Hot air gun, wallpaper stripper, and I cook 3 plates of food, and then at the end of the show, the audience gets to try what I've done. So that's in my kind of theatre show. But then at Feastival, I'm doing a cookery demo, so it's a bit more conventional, and I'm on in the big kitchen, their actual kind of demo kitchen, doing snack hacker cooking, which I guess we'll come on to in a minute. Yeah, and then my stand up is kind of like straight stand up, but with props and no food. So I've got all these different hats.
And who were your comedy influences when you were younger? Who do you remember making you laugh?
Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, old
Yeah,
school.
like massively, and I mean, not just when I was younger, now as well. I think they're just brilliant. Just the clowning and the sort of maturity of their comedy, I think, is um, yeah, fascinating. I mean, apart from that, I mean, there's loads of stand-ups I like. Contemporary people like James Acaster and so on. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I think Laurel and Hardy. That's my
And
favourite.
your Edinburgh Fringe show, How to Cook in a Hotel Room, that's back in 2015, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. So I've done several. So the first show I did. So for years I did just more conventional stand up. Um, as I said before, always with props and things, but no cooking. And then in 2015, I decided that it was kind of high time I took a solo show to Edinburgh, and being really into cooking and having actually done cooking in hotel rooms in a non-performative way, just like to mess around and see what I could cook in a hotel room when I've been doing comedy clubs. Um, because I'd done that and it worked, and I realised there were recipes you could do. I thought, well, I could turn that into a comedy show. So took that first show called Anarchist Cook to Edinburgh in 2015. It sold out the whole Fringe. It was a total like self-produced thing. I had no
They had
director
no
or
posters, I believe,
I had no
not even
posters. Yeah,
no
yeah,
director, no
just
producer.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just
It
ran
was
with
just
it.
yeah, all off my own back and trusting that word of mouth would kind of generate some interest, and it did. And so yeah, just totally sold out. Then toured that for a couple of years. Realised I'd created this niche that I liked occupying. So there was no one else, and still isn't anyone else doing that kind of thing. There's people who use food on stage, but like I said earlier, in that kind of more clowny way rather than actual cooking, which I'm really passionate about. Um, so went back in 2017 with a second show called DIY Chef that was all about cooking with power tools. Then the third show in 2019, which was called Movable Feast, which was about cooking on the move. So I had an engine on stage and a cement mixer, and it's ridiculous. And then the show that I'm touring now, which is a best of, which is basically a third of each of those three shows, and it's called Set Menu. So there's a bit about hotel cooking, a bit about power tool cooking, and a bit about cooking on the move.
And are you surprised how popular it's been and what amazing fans you've picked up along the way, or not?
Yeah, I'm really surprised. I mean, I'm I'm racked with self doubt still, so I didn't
No.
go into it going, yeah, everyone's going to love this. I think, yeah, I'm surprised. I think that perhaps the success comes down to the fact that it is unique. Like I
Mm.
said, there's no one else doing comedy and cooking, and certainly not in the way I do it. Um, so I guess that's what makes it interesting, and I think or popular. I think also because it comes from a real genuine passion. So, it's not kind of going, oh, this is an idea that no one else is doing, so I'll do that. It's like, I love cooking, you know, I love being inventive and creative, and it's kind of about that. And so I think that the success of the shows and the success of my online stuff that came about, well, because of the pandemic and not being able to go on stage. Um, and I think the success of that comes from, again, it just being very genuine and heartfelt and honest.
Mm. And do you think also, as you're known as the anarchist cook, we could all go a little bit more rogue like you, and just not make excuses for not rustling something up in a kettle or a,
You bet. Oh,
yeah.
totally. I mean, I think that, yeah, I mean, cooking, I mean, all art, if you kind of look at cooking as art, which I don't see why you shouldn't, comes from being creative and breaking rules and challenging convention, and you know um and so yeah, I hope that what I kind of the content I'm producing both on stage and online is something that, yeah, does encourage people to kind of think unconventionally, and be a bit anarchic.
And like me, you're thinking about food pretty much every waking thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So I'm sure you've been asked this before, but what would your last supper be?
crikey, do you know what I'm doing the off menu podcast, recording it next week actually, and so at the moment I've got this enormous word file with all my, and narrowing it down. I am crippled by choice always. Like when I go to a restaurant, I'd rather go to a kind of tasting menu or something. Or what
Mm.
I'll do, especially if I go to a restaurant with my daughter Zoe, who's very good at ordering, I'll just say, you order for me, because I'm so rubbish at choosing. So right now, I really don't know, and I need to figure it out before next week what my kind of last supper is. But I mean, it's gonna include nostalgic things. So I'm writing a cookbook at the moment, and
Mm.
there's a lot of nostalgic stuff in there because my dad did all the cooking most of the cooking when we were kids, and there's loads of things that he did that I had when I was small that just bring everything flooding back. He used to make this lemonade with a whole lemon and ice cubes and sugar and a liquidizer, and then you blend everything up and then put it through a sieve, and it just makes this incredible. You've got this sort of bitterness and sourness from the pith, but it really works. It makes it kind of slightly more kind of mature flavour to it, and so things like that. But I mean,
That really makes it, I think, because your dearly departed dad, I believe you said on one of your shows that you only got a microwave, after he passed on.
yeah, yeah,
And do you think he'd be proud of you, all the things you've achieved since then?
yeah. I think so. Yeah, of course he would. He was a very nice man. If it was, if I'd say, "Oh no," I'd be very disappointed. Be an accountant like him. No, yeah, I think it. But yeah, I think it'd be really pleased. Yeah.
And what were your school dinners like?
Oh, I have such fond memories of school dinners. I loved school dinners. I tell you what was particularly good at my secondary school. They used to have this. Uh, I went to school in southeast London, and they had this. They called it the tuck shop, but it was basically all the things that they couldn't sell, or that they had a glut of in the dining hall. They'd bring down on big trays, and there'd be things like sort of lukewarm, like recently cooked but lukewarm, so very easy to eat fish fingers and sausages and things,
Mm.
which they'd sell for like sort of 5p or 10p. So it was lethal. So I wouldn't go to the dining hall. I'd just go there towards the end of the lunch hour and just have like 8 fish fingers. Oh, and school fish fingers, just the best, and
School
sausages.
fish fingers are the best. And what I really like as well is you don't have any sort of notion of guilty pleasures. Everything's a pleasure. There's none
Yeah.
of this snobbery about
Oh,
food that you sometimes get.
yeah. Oh, utterly. I mean, that's my kind of ethos with certainly with the snack hacker stuff, the online content, and
Mm.
the cookbook too. Is yeah. There's no boundaries. Cook what you want to cook. We don't feel like, oh, salad cream's a naff ingredient, because all these things have qualities, be they nostalgic or be they just actual flavour things. I mean, personally, I like the flavour of salad cream. It's a bit like, I call it white ketchup. I mean, it's very similar. It's full of vinegar and sugar, but I think it works. But again, it's kind of the school dinners thing. You see, we didn't have salad cream when I was growing up. We were quite a sort of middle class family, and my parents frowned on salad cream like they frowned on ITV. But so then when I go to school, I get a sachet of salad cream and have that with fish fingers. I was like, oh, heaven. So now salad cream's a big thing for me, and processed cheese.
Yeah, oh yeah, but anything processed. You know, those processes that make things last a long time, don't they?
Yeah.
Have you had any surprising foodie fans who've sort of commented? What's been the most remarkable fan mail or comment or post that you've had?
I mean, I
Maybe
think,
Craig Charles has had something to say.
yeah, well, Craig Charles is, he's really taken me under his wing. That's lovely. So I do this weekly chat with him on his show on BBC Six Music every Monday, where I give him a snack hack, give him a sort of a quick, easy recipe idea. Um, so yeah, so his patronage has been really nice, really helpful, and he's a joy to chat to as well. He's so positive. I mean, every idea I come up with, he's like, oh God, I want to eat that. That sounds amazing, which is really nice. I mean, generally, since the success of the online stuff, uh, my Instagram snack hacker kind of account, um, I mean, it's just got, yeah, I mean, loads of people from particularly. I mean, I was already friends with a lot of people from the comedy world because of doing
Yeah.
stand up for so long, but the kind of support I've got from the food world, there's lots of pretty famous chefs who follow me and like what I do. Um, I mean, Gennaro Contaldo
Oh
is
yeah,
just, I love him. He's so funny
yeah.
as well. He
Yeah,
reminds
he
me of
is.
kind of Lauren Hardy era sort of, comedians. He's got a real air of that sort of thing about him. Um, and I mean, none are springing to mind now. But if you look at my Instagram and go through, you'll see lots of people with chef in their title and little blue ticks next to them. So yeah,
Well,
so
Jay
that's
Rayner's a fan, isn't he? And
yeah,
Grace Dent was singing
yeah,
his praises.
yeah. She came to see the show in Edinburgh and wrote a very nice piece about it. Um, yeah, so yeah, a lot of people in the food world have been supportive.
So, is there anything you would say to anyone who's a bit scared of cooking, whether for their kids or, but has never really mastered it, is a bit scared of? Is there one bit of kitchen kit that you recommend they get to whip something up?
Well, I mean, I don't use it in my show, and I don't really talk about it much on my Instagram. And actually, it's for maybe if it's someone who's scared of cooking, maybe not. But a pressure cooker is something I discovered in the last few years, which again is something my dad had, and I didn't not get. See, with the microwave, I think I didn't have a microwave for many years when my dad was alive because he was so insistent that I should have one. It was that kind of generational resistance, kind of going, I know what I'm doing. I'm fine without one. Stop telling me I've got to get one. Um, with the pressure cooker, I think I was just a bit sort of freaked out by it, and then yeah, and got one. I don't know, maybe 5 6 years ago, and I use it so much. I mean, it cuts down cooking time, and some of the things you can do in it. I mean, there's a book called Modern Pressure Cooking by an author called Catherine Phipps, and the recipes in that are just mind blowing. I mean, you can do like a joint of roast beef. You pressure cook it for, I think it might only be 5 minutes, and then you let it drop, like really the pressure drop naturally, which takes another couple of minutes, and it's the perfect. I mean, it's perfect, pink in the middle. It's incredible.
Ooh.
So yeah, so I'd say get a pressure cooker if you think you might be confident with it. Otherwise, I mean, well, you know what, a microwave. Because if you haven't got a microwave, I've realised it's amazing. There's so many things you can do with that. In fact, another cookbook to recommend, an author called Tim Anderson. He's recently released a tiny book of microwave cooking, um, that's brilliant, like for making chicken crackling and stuff, which is just heaven.
Ooh. And you're coming on tour again in the autumn. You'll be visiting lots of theatres and venues in our area. What
Yeah,
else? What else is on your horizon in terms of things you'd like to have? Is there a TV show in the offing again? Are you going to be on Bake Off sidelines?
I don't know. I mean, do you know what? I think it's so tricky. It's an unusual time, I think, because social media is so huge and online stuff is so huge that I think the whole TV world is quite a tricky one, really. I mean, you know, I think also someone who's 51 like me, it's not, I don't think people are going to be knocking on my door saying, we want you to do a TV show. However, the cookbook, that's what's on the horizon. That's very exciting.
Right.
And that's coming
That's
out.
coming up, isn't it? Yeah.
It's coming out well, it's not actually being published until June next year, but I'm quite far through writing it. And it's going to be a really beautiful object. So it's designed and illustrated by my son, who films all my Snack Hacker videos, and he's done all my show posters. He's a brilliant illustrator and graphic designer. And it's photographed by a good friend of mine called Matt Lincoln. And the photos are really nice. And it's a good cookbook, and there's lots of kind of nostalgia stuff and writing about growing up in there. So that's what I'm really excited about. Yeah, and that's coming out in June, and maybe that will be the springboard to other books, and then who knows what else. But yeah, the book's the thing that I'm really, really thrilled about.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we're very much looking forward to seeing you, and I'll be sure to say hi and get
Yes.
some of your snacks as well.
Yes, come and tuck in.
Will do. All right, well, thank you, George. I'll see you at Big Feastival, and you take care of yourself.
I'll see you there. Thank you.